Alright guys, welcome back. This is Jonathan Gardner playing Satisfactory. This is a short kind of summary episode of what just happened in the last hour, and I'm also going to spend some time talking about the math behind everything, why I did what I did, and if you guys have suggestions on how I can play this game better, if there's something that I don't know about, you can tell me in the comments below. I'm learning this game, you're all learning this game, I want to learn the game together. Alright, so the first couple levels, where I'm at, just to describe to you where I'm at so far in this game, you can probably tell just by looking at my factory, is I have unlocked, I am at the first tier. I've unlocked tier 0, I've done all the stuff there, and now I'm at tier 1. Now for tier 0, the truth is, until you get splitters and belts, really you can't build, there's not a lot of optimization you can do in your factory, right? I can't take an iron mine and split it between two smelters and then split the output of those smelters between stuff. So there's not a lot of optimization I can do. I can only build straight through, you know, one miner goes to one smelter goes to one, you know, iron plate or whatever. And the other thing too that's really frustrating for me in this game, and if there's something that the developers could change, it's that it takes forever to get to conveyor belts and it takes forever to get to miners. Okay, so I rush through these as fast as I can. I handcraft as much as I can. Something else to consider is biomass is a far better, I think this is actually OP, but if you take your leaves or your wood and convert it to biomass, you get much more energy out of it. I do not recommend burning leaves or wood at all. Just rush hub upgrade 2 so you can start burning biomass and things like that. The first thing I do build is the smelter, right? And I build that probably about the time, let's see, hub upgrade 2 was pretty easy to get. You just need some copper. Hub upgrade 3, you need a lot of iron plates, okay? And when you're making things here at the table, it takes like 2 strokes to make a single iron ingot. You can see it says hammer times 2, but iron plates take 1, right? Now iron plates consume 2 ingots, so you're basically looking at 5 strokes just for 1 iron plate, whereas for iron rod it's just 3. Okay, so if you can put your resources into the smelters, that's going to be your biggest time saver. That's going to be the biggest advantage you can get as quickly as you can get. And I kind of built my smelters a little bit close. I've moved them back. I want to move my hub out a little further. It's too close to the iron mines. There's just not enough room for me to do the stuff I want to do. So the first things I would build is a smelter, probably about, you know, tier 2 or tier 3, when I start to feel the pain of like it's taking a long time to craft things. And then once you get the smelters, here's the smelters right here. Once you get these smelters built, each smelter consumes, if you look at it closely, you can't tell because it's on standby, I'll turn it on. It consumes 30 iron ore per minute, right? Now, if you built the portable miners, you'll see this portable miners that you build over here in the equipment workshop that you have to build. It's one of the first things you have to build. These portable miners, and it doesn't tell you here, but the portable miners will mine these particular iron patches at 1 ore per second or 60 per minute, right? So that stands to reason that one portable miner would map to 2 smelters, right? Because each smelter does 30 per minute, the miner does 60 per minute, right? So I set up the portable miners pretty quickly, and then I started shuffling by hand the portable miners to the smelters. All right, so I had 2 because there's 2 iron patches, and so I had 4 smelters going. I don't have 4 smelters going now, obviously, just 2. There's a smelter over here for the copper that I'm doing. Copper obviously extends out to the mine. Okay, I never, at the beginning stages, copper is not really a bottleneck, so I didn't do anything with the copper.
The man has completed its analysis.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll talk about that next episode, what the analysis is. In the hour-long episode, we can summarize that. But anyway, so basically I'm going straight to portable miners and smelters. I'm matching up how fast the portable miners mine with how many smelters I have. I have a limited capacity for the number of machines I can run, so I'm investing my power to the smelters to get the maximum output, and then I can come over here and quickly craft the things that I need and quickly pass off the requirements. So I'm spending a lot of time at the crafting table, especially very early and more later on. Now, once I come out of the tier 0, as I start looking up at tier 1, or the last step of tier 0, so hub upgrade 5, 150 plates, you need 300 ingots for that. So if your smelters are running well, you should have that. 150 iron rods, and you need 150 ingots for that. You can just do it at the table pretty quick. Concrete, obviously, you should be using a portable miner on concrete. You should never be mining anything by hand, right? Except the very initial part. And then the wire, it's annoying because you probably don't have a copper smelter. So just do this by hand or start setting up your actual factory like I was. So I started setting up, the beginning of an actual factory. I went around, I set up mines, portable mines, I set up smelters, and I'm just making the copper wire here. And it's accumulating it, it's building it slowly. These guys only use 15 ingots per minute. These guys produce 30 ingots per minute. They only consume 30 ore. And then the mine, I think, is producing 120, but the belt can only carry 60. So 60 ore is coming in. Half of it is ending up here backlogged, which you can, if you want to tap into, you can just tap in at this point. It's a whole stack. And then half of what's being smelted ends up here in a backlog for the copper wire, and then the rest is just obviously going to the storage container. Okay, so I have 4 storage containers, one containing copper wire, one containing iron rod. This is the iron rod's container. And the iron rod process, for some reason, is really slow. It only does 15 per minute, right? So typically, in the very early game, if you have the option to build one of the factories for iron rods, don't do it. Just do it for the iron plates instead, because iron plates makes the same 15 per minute, but it consumes more of the iron ingots. So it's just, I think it's better to do the iron plates. Probably doesn't make a huge difference either way. Maybe you want one of one and one of the other. But I think iron plates are more useful because you could build the conveyor belts out of the iron plates. Conveyor belts don't require, let me just go through this. So conveyor belts only require iron plate, okay? And otherwise, you're using a tiny bit of cement and a tiny bit of iron rods. Mostly, you're spending a lot in the iron plate department. You're going to feel a shortage of iron plates. So you want to basically build more iron plates than you need in the very, very early game. That's my estimation. So I think I've done enough talking about this episode, the summary for this episode. Again, the only thing that I'd probably do is move this hub a little bit further away, just so I had more room for manufacturing. Maybe move the stuff closer to the miners, but they're pretty dang close as they are. We need some room for the belts and everything like that. All right, now what I'm going to do next. So next episode, I'm going to try to accomplish probably at least these first two, the utility and the logistics milestone for Tier 1. Okay, and the reason why utility is so I can get biofuel. Biofuel, like biomass is good. It like multiplies the amount of energy per amount of work you have to do to get it. Biofuel does even more, right? And so very early on, I want to be burning biofuel if I can, just so I have to spend less time out there collecting resources. I don't like collecting resources. I like automating things, right? I'd rather spend my time at the workbench making things than out there cutting down trees or whatever. Logistics gives you the splitters. Once you have the splitters, then you can build balanced factories, and you can actually go crazy. And you don't have stuff back up. You can make everything look good. And from there, that's pretty much the only two that really excite me about Tier 1. Tier 2, looking forward to Tier 2. This is, I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, I have to do this, right? I don't really feel comfortable building assemblers once I've started into Tier 2. Once I get that first thing done, I don't build these things for a while. I just haven't really found a good thing. The chainsaw, on the other hand, the chainsaw is what I rush for, okay? And the reason why the chainsaw I'm going to rush for this is because I use it to get tons and tons of wood. And with the tons and tons of wood, I can throw it into a storage chest that feeds into biomass generator that feeds into another biofuel generator and into another storage chest, and I have all the fuel I ever need. I basically don't need to go out and get resources ever again. Maybe once or twice, and that's it. With that, you'll last a long time. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go out here. There is a green worm in the water. It's easy to get. You take the green worm. We're going to do research on it. Once you do research on that, you can start adjusting how fast your factories run. Right? There's a thing down here that you can't see yet. And with that, you can really fine-tune your factory. And this is one of the things that very much excites me about Satisfactory. Is the amount of balancing and tuning you can do is ridiculous. And frankly, for me, a guy that likes math, I studied physics in college. You probably heard me say that a couple times. I love sitting down with a calculator and figuring out, okay, is it 67% or 68%? And just like I have a stack of paper here with charts of how the different factories line up and what their different production rates are, what the bottleneck is. Typically, it's the belts in the beginning, but once you get tier 2 belts, then that kind of doesn't become a problem. Anyway, that's what's exciting for me, and so I just love having that ability to do that very early in the game, and I intend to do that. And I think with that, that's pretty much all for tier 1 and 2. And then after that, once I get the chainsaw, then I start thinking really hard about building the space elevator, putting the initial items in the space elevator, and then getting things ready to start researching 3 and 4. And I think I haven't unlocked phase 2 yet. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 in my personal play. I haven't done these. Okay, but I do intend to... Oh, you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't know 7 is unlocked. I thought it wasn't. I guess this is new. I guess they're bringing things into the game as we preview it. Anyway, tier 1, tier 2, those should go very quickly. You'll see. And I'm going to have the beginnings of a factory for tier 1 and tier 2, but it won't be like the factory that I'm really excited about. It'll be the beginnings of it. Anyway, you guys will see if you watch my long episode. This is a short summary of what I've been doing, some of the reasoning behind it, some of the math behind things. Again, when I'm playing these games, I'm thinking about the resources that I have and how I can put them to best use. And one of those resources that we often underestimate is time. Like, how can I get things done more quickly? Does it make sense for me to do this or to do that? Which one will get me closer to the goal? Which one will help me prepare for the future as well? And so that's what I'm thinking about. And again, iron plates is super important because of the conveyor belts, which you're going to want a ton of. Concrete is going to become super important because we're going to build foundations with it. I don't know if I can build foundations yet. Yeah, I can. You know, these things. We're going to start building a lot of foundations, and I'm going to need a ton of concrete. So I'm going to try to fill this thing up with concrete, and we're going to use it. You know, I'm going to be out there building a huge factory floor to put things on, and it's going to be big. You know, and the way I think, I'm still thinking like 2D, like Factorio. So I haven't really started experimenting much with building up, like building a second story or building things that go between levels. It hasn't. I can't wrap my head around that yet. I'm still thinking about, you know, laying things out on a 2-dimensional map. So I'm going to build a big, huge factory floor. I'm going to put stuff on top of that. I'm going to rebuild my factory main bus. You know, it's going to look like a Factorio factory. And then as I do that, I'm going to start learning things about Satisfactory that'll make the factory look different. So hopefully you've enjoyed this summary of what's going on. If you didn't have the full chance to watch the whole hour episode, if you did, then you can watch me and talk, you know, about this game and just, you know, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. But this is basically a preview of my factory. This is a very, very nascent, very early factory, so obviously everything's going to change by the time you see me next time. Guys, thanks for watching. Take care, and bye-bye.